It's episode 118 of The Backwash.
Emily brought in a psychic to today's podcast. What were you thinking?
I wanted to see how to tap into my intuition.
And then she tapped into Boyer.
Yeah, it's The Backwash.
Transmission has terminated. Now, it's time for an exclusive after-show podcast. The DSC presents the Backwash Podcast.
So we are being joined today by Christelle of Touchstone Talk. Her website is touchstonetalk.com, and she has joined us at Ladies' Night, Sarah, for the last 2 years.
I remember because this was the biggest line, I feel like, both years at Ladies' Night.
She stayed, I think, maybe an hour after the event this year because women wanted their readings done, and she was doing, 5-minute mini readings for the ladies?
Yes, I was.
Some women walk away in tears. Like, what are you guys getting into in 5 minutes? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it hopeful? Is it life? Like, what do you guys dive into in that short amount of time?
Well, my readings are a little different. My readings are basically, instead of about the future or the past, they're about right now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of a reflection of what's going on with someone right now. Things will come up about the past or the future, but it's more about right now.
Okay.
And so I see that a lot where it triggers some emotions from people.
Mm-hmm. Moves people.
And my goal, though, is never to give bad news. It's only to bring hope and inspire people to know that there's good coming.
Cool. So to dive into the past, though, how did you get on this path in life? Like, do you call yourself a psychic? What's your title?
The word psychic actually is not really. I mean, I am a psychic, but I think that there's so much more to it. I believe I'm a mystic. I really believe in the power of healing through the spoken word. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I do, is I just try and inspire people.
What does that mean?
Feel good.
Healing through the spoken word.
Well, there's times that people are really hurting and they don't know, how to deal with what they're hurting, like a loss in the family or something like that. And instead of telling them to get past it, which doesn't happen, you help them to get through it. And you help them to get through it by giving them ideas and maybe just changing a little bit of their perception of what's going on and where their role is in it. Mm-hmm. And just helping them to see that, if it was the other way around and they were gone and someone was missing them, they would want the person to get on with their life and still be happy. And a lot of times I find that people that have lost someone feel guilty when they're happy because they feel like they're supposed to be sad. Mm. And there's, a time for everything. So there's a time to be sad and there's a time to be happy. And sometimes you can be sad and then have a moment where you're laughing because of something that comes up. Mm-hmm. So I just try and help them move past from one point to another.
Sometimes you can be sad and happy. Sappy.
Are you feeling sappy today?
Yes, I am too.
That's funny.
Or had.
I like sappy.
Or had.
Sappy works.
What about this guy right here? Do you have any read on this guy? I'm sorry, Emily.
No, go for it.
Well, that's how. How does it work? Can someone just, as Chainsaw did, just point to Boyer and say, "Read this guy"? How does it?
It's different with each person. And there's a saying that I used in sales that I also use in this business. It's SW. Some will, some won't. Some get it, some don't. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of just, I could be right or wrong, whatever I pick up. What matters is if it touches your heart or it makes you think of something, I ask you to pay attention. And I also teach people how to use their own intuition. You asked me how I got started. I came from a really unorthodox father who you never knew who he brought home for dinner. He'd bring home movie stars and musicians and different things. And when I was 7, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, he brought home a medium psychic that he paid her to train my siblings and myself how to use our psychic ability. And that's how I got started in it. But my mother also was very, very psychic. And she was raised by an aunt that she couldn't share, that she could see auras. And then when she met my dad, she was the first person from that side of my family to come from the East Coast. And she met my dad in Colorado. And he wanted to help her bring it out. Little did he know, though, that she was going to be so good that he used to cheat on her. And he'd come home, and my mom, back in the day, it was 6 kids with no extra car. And she'd say it was a redhead in a blue dress. And she had piercing blue eyes, and he could not deny it.
Oh, my God.
Because she had cameras from cheaters, and she had a home video screen.
Different times, Dave.
Was it?
Different times now.
Okay, I didn't mean to project. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But what's interesting about that, though, is that he actually, the next person he brought into our home was a former Hindu monk. And he taught us how to meditate and do yoga and the difference between being psychic and intuitive, which there is a big difference. And my mom and this former monk wound up falling in love.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was just amazing.
Before or after your dad? Was your dad
after
out of
my
the picture?
dad.
Okay.
After my dad. But my dad introduced them.
Right.
So it was really interesting, but he was very spiritual. I actually really believe he died a saint. He was very spiritual. He learned how to meditate at 18 and meditated 3 hours a day every day till he died. Wow. And he was very, very intuitive, and he taught me a lot about being intuitive. And that's why I teach people also. I teach meditation courses and techniques just because sometimes people make it so complicated.
What does intuitive mean?
Intuitive is, there's a difference when you're psychic. There's 4 different basic ways that people pick up psychically. One is in their stomach. They get that feeling in their stomach. The other is in their solar plexus, like they feel something with their heart, and usually that has to do with someone that they're close to is maybe in danger or something, like a mother's intuition type thing. Then you can hear or see things. Now, I hear and see things mostly, and it doesn't always make sense to me, so a lot of times I'll just throw it at the person I'm giving the reading to, and they either, like, tap in and know what I'm talking about, or we dive further until we understand what it is I'm seeing. But to answer your question about being intuitive is very subtle at first. It's about paying attention. It's like for instance, say you see or you have this idea of pink elephants and you're thinking, where did that come from? And then you're driving and all of a sudden this truck cuts you off and they have a big sign of pink elephants. It's something to just pay attention to. Different people get different ways that they pick up on things. Like, for instance, there was a girl that I did a reading for, and I was telling her how some people get it electrically. Like, it'll come through the media or it'll come through on the radio. A song will come on that will really resonate with whatever's going on with them. And this one girl that you may or may not know from here, she works on billboards. And when I gave her a reading, I said, I see really big words for you. Really big words matter. She goes, did they tell you what I do? And they didn't. And she says, I sell billboards. So it's different how it comes through for each person.
You got to read, Boyer. I mean, can this happen? This is a dream come true.
A dream come true?
Wet dream, or is it just a regular?
Oh, God.
Yeah, you guys.
So do you think everyone has intuition that they can tap into if they listen to it, but not everyone has psychic abilities?
Well, I think that I don't have a monopoly on any of it. I think that anybody can do any of it. It's just a matter of learning how. It's just like, I'm sorry, my phone's going off.
I predict your phone is going to be turned off.
You're telling me things. Sorry about
I think she's going to turn the sound off, and oh my God, she just did it! That's amazing. I'm amazing.
You amaze us every time.
But no, that's why I teach people how to pay attention, because the very first thing I learned when I was going to classes on how to be psychic was how subtle it is, and how subtle information comes through. But when you're quiet and you learn how to pay attention, you're really grateful. I mean, it saved my life before.
Does anyone here meditate?
I do.
Yes.
Because I have friends that swear by it, that it's life-changing. Have you guys had just powerful moments through meditation?
Well, mine is TM, so it's more like you think of nothing. The idea is to think of nothing and not pay attention to any thought you have and let it just float away, so it reduces the cortisol from your fight or flight thing.
And I really suck at it. I can't think of nothing. It's always...
No, you're always going to think. You're always going to think, but in my TM anyway, every thought that pops up, you don't care about it, and you just let it flow away.
Oh, right. That you don't pay attention to
You don't attach any meaning or care about it, and it just flows for 20 minutes. You get into this relaxed period, and all the negative fight or flight adrenals you were talking about, and the cortisol, the bad stuff, that Eric, obviously, here you are resting, and he wakes her up as if like with a scare
I had
tactic.
overslept, yeah.
And that just defeats the purpose of rest.
I know.
So now you're going to be exhausted again. You should divorce him immediately. I see divorce. I see divorce in your
Well, I
future.
don't see that in
your
your
future.
psychic abilities. Do you find yourself craving meditation if you don't get to do it for a while?
No, I'm too lazy to think about nothing. That's the thing. That my TM is like effortless. It's supposed to be completely effortless, and I do it strictly so I can stay awake by 10 o'clock in the morning when I used to fall. And Seinfeld is into it, and there's a lot of videos.
Slash
about
is into it too.
Anyway,
there's a myth.
There's a lot of different kinds of meditations, are there
There's
not?
a lot of different kinds of meditation, but I think there's kind of a myth on how hard it is.
It's supposed to be easy.
Because it's really not supposed to be hard.
At all.
And since I learned at such a young age, I learned in simplistic terms, so that's how I can teach people in simplistic terms. And basically, the whole premise of it is to get in touch with with your inside of what's really going on with you, so that way you're not influenced. It's like, a prisoner can find peace in their mind if they let themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Peace isn't something that you have to be able to find peace in the middle of chaos, or else you'll never have it.
Right.
And that's my meditation to me. I call it my V8. I don't know if you remember the commercial. We should have had my V8.
Yeah.
But the difference when I do meditate and when I don't is huge, because when I do, I walk away going, I'm so glad I said that, or that went so well. And when I don't, I'm saying, I wish I would have.
And are you more tired and exhausted that day, maybe?
Yes, actually, if you really get into a deep state of relaxation with meditation, it slows down your heart rate, it slows down your organs, and it helps you to like kind of regenerate your cells. And so when you do that, 15 minutes of a really good meditation can be as much as like 4 hours sleep.
That's right.
Wow.
That's exactly right. Because it dumps the cortisol better than sleep.
Dang. Okay.
And so it's relaxing. Now, am I being a nerd here? Because I really wanted to read Boyer.
I know, but
Do you
wait,
feel
she just
comfortable?
said something, though, that I really want to hear about. How it saved your life.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to that too.
One time I had just gotten tires put on my car. And I like to drive fast. I was driving a Mustang, and I hate being in between big trucks.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a big truck in front of me, and there was a big truck behind me. And the traffic was moving. At the time, my work was like 2 miles from my house. So I had just got on the freeway, and I was just about to turn and punch my gas to go into the next lane, and I heard slow down, and I didn't feel anything was wrong with my car, but I heard slow down, and I'm like, what? And I look at my rearview mirror, and I see the truck behind me, and I'm like, there's no way I'm slowing down. If I slow down, I'm going to get hit by this truck.
Right.
So again, I had my blinker on, and I was just about to hit the gas, and then all of a sudden I heard it like thunder, and it was slow down, and it was like really strong. So I figured, well, the only way I can slow down is if I pull to the side of the freeway and pull off the freeway. So I rode the rim of the freeway just from my one exit to the next one. I got to the end of the exit, and when I got to the end, there was a little payphone right there, and I stopped right there, and my front passenger tire fell off.
Wow.
And I had forgotten. I called my husband, and I had forgotten that I heard 3 days before, be careful, 30 or more could be killed. And I've had the experience of being out of my body before and seeing myself. And I saw my car, and I thought that maybe I was to die. And I'm not afraid of death. And so I thought, well, maybe I'm going to die. And then when I called my husband, all of a sudden I started shaking, because what I saw in my vision that I had forgot about was what the truck driver behind me would have seen. Oh. And he would have gone right over my car.
Right.
So because I would have gone right into his lane, So anyway, so it definitely has saved my life more than once. I've seen amazing things happen by just paying attention. I think the most profound thing that happened was with this lady that came in I used to work for, I'm a massage therapist as well, and I worked for this chiropractor, and he had a really cool office that had really cool paintings and just a really good vibe, and I always had really good experiences there. And this lady came in, and she came in to get a massage that her daughter was paying for because she had had one and had a good experience. And she came in with her sweater unbuttoned and her hair all messed up. She was about 89 or something. And her hair was all messed up and her teeth were out. And she was just, you could tell she didn't really care anymore about what was going on with what she looked like. And her daughter asked if she could be in the room with me when I gave her the massage and to see my techniques. And I was giving her a massage, and it wasn't like 5 minutes in, I kept hearing the word beauty, beauty, beauty. And I'm like, okay, Spirit, where is this coming from? And it was her husband who had passed. And I'm so sorry. I meant to turn this off.
I knew that was going to happen.
You knew that was going to happen. Okay. So anyway, you're so psychic. I was telling her that her husband had come and that he was still in love with her, the same 21-year-old that he met, and that he still loved her, and she's that same beautiful soul. And he said to prove that it's really him, like that's what happens whenever a spirit comes through, is they always give me information. There's no way I would have known. And so what they gave me was, he said, tell her to let her know it's really me. I still love rye toast and cherry juice. So I told her, and her daughter started crying, and then she started crying, and I'm very empathic and sensitive. So I'm over there giving her a massage, crying, and she's laying on her side. And all of a sudden she says, I think I can lay on my stomach. She was hunchback when she walked in. She left 6 inches taller. Oh. And the thing was, her daughter's like jaw dropped when she laid on her stomach. But what I learned from that was that when we identify with our spirit, we're limitless. But when we identify with our body, we're very limited.
That's you incredible. Like healing people, huh?
I really believe in the power of healing.
Yeah.
And that's why I said with the word, you asked about the word, it's not like, I definitely am into God and spirituality, but I don't try and push that on people because a lot of people don't have the same faith as I do.
So what's the difference between God and spirituality, or religion?
Well, for me,
spiritual?
There is no difference. But I love, like, when you go to Al-Anon or AA or anything, how they say the God as you know it, because everybody has their own vision of what that is, and they have their own ideas and relationship, if you will. And, even you find people that are atheists that, like, then something happens, they're like, oh, God. So, I don't push it, but that's, for me, there is no difference. But I think for a lot of people it is, because they look at it differently. So I'm going to have you shuffle these cards.
I love it.
Ask for words that you will understand. And when you're ready, I want you to pick out, I don't know how much time we have.
Enough, plenty.
Okay, pick out 3 cards and lay them out, and lay them where you don't know what they are. Okay?
Did you ask for words you understand?
I don't know what that means.
Just say it.
Okay.
Yes and no. He doesn't understand those 2 words.
Okay.
There you go.
So, the way that I do the cards, I do it different with different cards and different cards, but I had him pick out 3 cards.
Okay.
The first card is the situation. Second card is what transcends the situation.
Is that like Mike Sorrentino on the...
No.
And the third card is the outcome. So the situation, a lot of times people will come to ask about romance, and they'll find out about their career, that kind of thing. You're not really asking anything, and I know that you're not really, like, this is kind of fun for you. Right?
This is what the ladies enjoy.
Okay. Huh. So let's see. So enchantment. Enchantment is the card, and what I get is that you have a very playful side about you, but you also are kind of longing for a little bit of something more enchanting in your life. I could be right or wrong, whatever that means to you, but I just feel like that, it's been a long time since you've been awed by anybody.
I'm awed by people every day.
Are you?
Stop it, Boyer.
It means A-W-E-D, by awed by anybody, like impressed, right?
Not O-D-D.
Because he's odd, O-D-D.
Right. In 2 ways.
So it takes something to get that from you.
From me? No, I'm around fantastic people every day. Are you kidding me? I work with the very best in radio, truly.
You're not awed by us.
Well, not by you, but others on the show.
Oh, my goodness. That was a comedic opportunity.
We're going to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Please.
So the thing that helps you to move forward in your life right now is playfulness, which you've got plenty of, it sounds like.
I agree with that.
Okay. And that it's just important to be aware of having fun, but one thing I would warn you about is having fun at other people's expense.
That's the entire 29 years on this show that everybody gets that we rip each other mercilessly only for the sake of having a good time.
Right. So it's all in fun and games. You don't take it seriously.
You can't. But we do rip each other mercilessly.
Okay.
I can't count on
What about outside of work, Boyer, with your friends?
everybody gets a little bit. Everybody gets just enough to know that they're
Cared about.
They're cared about.
Yeah.
Right.
Teasing the ones you
That's
love.
kind of the way you do it, the way you
Right?
show it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it hits a nerve, and that's where the most interesting stuff comes, right?
Right. And, you know, that's going to happen no matter what we do in life. We hit nerves sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the outcome is steady. And I think it's just more about your personal awareness of how I think that a lot of times we don't realize how what we say can impact other people. And it's important to have fun and be playful, but it's also important to be a little more sensitive, is my sense.
Fat chance of that happening.
I think this is why we're healing through words.
not
Maybe
healing.
it's the
That's
thing
not-
he needs to hear.
That's not healing, Ruth, dear.
He's so insensitive on a daily basis. It's just like who he is.
A lot of people are afraid to be real, and if that's who you really are, then so be it, you know? So do you want to pick one more for overall view?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do
I
it.
think you need to.
Do it, Boyer.
Hold on. Your overall view card is freedom. Uh-huh. And which is interesting because you're a free spirit for the most part. I mean, you don't hold back.
You know what? Well, yes, except that I'm not really a free spirit because I enjoy very predictable things. I want every day exactly like the last.
Then you're in a terrible job. It's not the same every day ever.
It's different
one
every
thing
day.
changes,
Everything
every day.
changes.
everything is fucked up. If there's a change in my computer or a change in a thing, you have to do this step now with the new software. It's a disaster for me. I love predictability.
You're very dramatic. Easily
Walking
upset.
the dogs at
Melodramatic.
3:30 to 4 o'clock. Feed the dogs at 11:45, 6:30. Jeopardy at 7:30. These are fantastic things. I love predictability.
Your weekend plans change on a whim all the time.
Sometimes they fall through.
This is part of the ODD, the oppositional defiance disorder. That
No, it's not.
Any more questions?
you were telling us you have something coming up. People could go to your website, I'm assuming shortly, touchstonetalk.com, to get information on how to manifest what you want.
How to figure out and manifest what you want. I think a lot of people don't really know what they want, and they don't always give it the time of day. And if you give yourself a little bit more time to really figure out what's really going on, what would really make you happy, then you can start to make a plan of how to get that. And I have tools and techniques that I've used many, many times for different things. I've used it for relationships. I've used it for the house I live in. I've used it for the businesses I've had. And I've done really well with it. And I got one of the techniques that I got was from my brother, who's got the Midas touch, who's doing really well and always done really well. And he's very disciplined about his work. And he's just really taught me how to do this. And everything I've done it with, like the house I live in, is amazing. I put it out there for a home in Encinitas with an ocean view and several rooms, a fireplace, front yard, backyard, side yard, ample parking. I really put everything out there. The only thing I didn't remember, we were a growing young family, was 2 bathrooms. So that was the one thing I didn't get. But now we put another bathroom in. So, it works out. But you can really get what you want, but you have to know what you want in order to get it.
And that'll be on your website?
That'll be on my website. Yeah, it's a class coming up.
Also,
So you have you have to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Because if you focus
Absolutely.
on what you don't want, you get that.
That's a really good point. That's one of the things that I really stress in a lot of my readings is, and why I recommend meditation is because if you train your thoughts to train your train of thoughts to where you want to go, So I do it. I really believe in doing visuals, and so the visual. If you think about a train and how it starts out, chugga 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 chugga. Whatever you think gives momentum to whatever you're thinking. So if you're thinking that you're going to have a sucky day, you're going to have a sucky day. But if you put it out there that today's going to be great no matter what happens, you will create a good day. And if you train your thoughts, if you can really change your whole world, because your perception of what it is really what matters more. It's not always what happens to us, it's what we do with it. And so I really believe in training your thoughts to, you tie your brain down, you train yourself to think in a specific way. Like if you looked at a brain, for instance, and you see all the grooves in the brain and how some grooves are deeper, it's like a habit. A habit, every time you do that habit, it goes deeper and deeper and creates more of a habit of it. And it's harder to get out of the habit. So if you change your habits, you can change your whole life. And by really being aware of where you want to go, it makes a huge difference.
So if people want to book readings with you, website?
Absolutely. My website is touchstonetalk.com. The number is 760-651-2042. And you can call, you can email me at touchstonetalk@gmail.com. But I prefer if you call, that way you get a feel for me and see if I'm the girl that you want to work with.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the DSC Backwash Podcast. Uncut and uncensored. Exclusively online on 1015kgb.com.